I found out a stranger was living in my walls for months without me knowing. Imagine finally moving into your own place for the first time. No roommates, no parents, just freedom. That's exactly what happened to me. I found this small but cozy apartment at a price that felt almost too good to be true. At first, it was everything I'd dreamed of. Peaceful, quiet, and finally mine. But then, small, strange things started happening. I'd come home from work and notice my fridge wasn't exactly how I left it. Food I swore I hadn't eaten was gone. Sometimes a carton of milk would be lighter, or leftovers would be missing. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I was half asleep when I grabbed it. Then the lights. I'd wake up in the morning and find my living room lamp switched on, or the bathroom light glowing when I knew for a fact I hadn't been in there. Again, I brushed it off. You're just tired. You're stressed. Don't overthink it. But one night, lying in bed, I heard something I couldn't ignore. It was faint, but it was there. The sound of soft, deliberate footsteps. Not from the floor above me, not from the hall, but inside my walls. I sat up, holding my breath, telling myself it was the building settling, old pipes, anything. But then came something that made my skin crawl. A quiet cough, like someone trying not to be heard. I told my friends about it, hoping they'd give me some logical explanation. Instead, they laughed it off. Dude, you've been watching too many horror movies. One even suggested maybe I was sleepwalking. I wanted to believe them. I really did. But things only got worse. I'd find little objects moved. My keys not where I left them. Clothes shifted in my closet. And then one night, I came home and smelled food. Actual food cooking. But the stove was off. No pans. Nothing. Just the lingering smell, like someone had just been there, making dinner. That was the breaking point. I went out and bought a cheap hidden camera, just to prove I wasn't crazy. I set it up in my living room, angled toward the kitchen, and left it recording overnight. The next morning, I sat down with my coffee, half expecting to see nothing. But what I saw froze me. Around 2:47 a.m., the footage showed my ceiling hatch, something I had barely noticed before, slowly creak open. And then a figure crawled out, thin, hunched, moving like they'd done it hundreds of times before. They stood up, stretched, and just walked around. Opened my fridge, drank from my carton, sat on my couch, even picked up one of my books, flipping through it casually, like they lived there. I watched in horror as they calmly walked back, climbed up, and pulled the hatch closed behind them, disappearing like they were never there. My hands were shaking when I called the police. When they arrived, I showed them the footage. They didn't waste time. They pulled out ladders and climbed up to the crawl space above my ceiling. And that's when they found it. A small hidden area. Blankets, clothes, empty food wrappers, even bottles of water. The intruder had been living above me, coming down whenever I wasn't around, or when I was asleep. But the worst part wasn't the bed or the food. It was the notebooks. Stacked neatly in a corner were journals, dozens of them. The police flipped them open, and my stomach dropped. Page after page describing me, my routines, what time I came home, what time I showered, the exact words I said on phone calls, notes about the shows I watched, the food I ate, the people I hung out with, and then the newest entry. It was dated that very day, written only hours before the police showed up. And at the bottom, scrawled in messy handwriting, were 5 words that made my blood run cold. He knows. I need to move. That's when the officers looked at each other, then at me, because the crawl space, it was empty. The journals were there, the clothes were there, but the intruder was gone, and I couldn't shake one thought from my head. If he had been watching me this closely, then even as I sit here telling you this story, maybe he's still watching. Maybe he never left at all.